Hi! I sure hope this is the right setting on my ring light and I don't realize I hate it during editing. Yeah, hi, I'm Liv, I'm an independent author, and if you're watching this, it means I have 100 subscribers. Well, actually, I'm filming this after I got the notification that I have 100 subscribers, so, yeah. But I did want to pre-film this so I could just put it up on whatever day I hit 100, and then that just didn't happen. So here we are, but yeah, it's kind of crazy to me because I've had this channel for 11 years and gone through several niches and landed on this. And it seems to be working for me. So, you know, thank you for being here. Here's to many more. I polled my close friends back when I was at like 90 or like high 80s, what they thought I should do if I hit 100. And one of them suggested a Q&A. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that's more of like a 500 subscriber type of thing, because I feel like I don't get a lot of engagement yet. Like I don't get enough engagement that I would like get a lot of questions. That's no shade to the people who do engage with my videos. That's just like, it would be like a very short Q&A, and I feel like that's like something I would want to do for like a higher number, like 500. And then the idea I originally had was reacting to my first video on this channel that has been long private, but I am not dragging that out of the depths of hell for less than 1,000 subscribers. So you'll have to keep sticking around if you ever want to see that. So obviously you read the title, you know why you're here. What I decided to do is I'm going to read the first chapter of Violet's novel. And you could probably see that this video is a little bit long. Fortunately, just like every other video I make, almost every other video I make, you can leave it on in the background like a podcast. And also like every other video I make, I like literally did not wait for my hair to dry before I filmed this. So I will be touching it quite a lot. Anyway, quick disclaimer, a couple disclaimers actually. First, this is the line edited version, and in the first chapter, there weren't a lot of comments left between me and my editor that I didn't resolve in line editing. So like I think there was just one, and it was just me thanking her for pointing something out that I missed. So basically it's just waiting for copy edits, or it's in copy edits right now. Should get those back around like early mid-January. And then I get to move on to formatting and picking a title. So that'll be nice and exciting. But so just a disclaimer that there may be some minor changes to the first chapter in the version you receive versus the version that I am reading to you today. And that's just, you know, this is a draft. And when I eventually post the preview of it on my website, once it's nice and formatted and done with all rounds of editing and proofreading, then I will link that in, well, I'll make a video announcing that probably and link it in the description, but that's gonna be after January, like probably like February or March, I will have that. But yeah, the shirt is tighter than I remember it being when I got it in 2019. But you know, it's a Violet's novel video, so I'm gonna be wearing a sorority shirt. But yeah, other disclaimer, I am not a professional book reader. I have never narrated an audiobook, never plan on narrating an audiobook. I'll talk somewhere down the line about my plans for audiobooks because I do think about them, but yeah, I'm not great at reading books out loud. When I read out loud to my students, they're usually following along with a paper version, or at least that's the expectation that they are. So I'm not great at like, okay, this is a scene break and I know how to indicate that with just my voice. And the audiobooks I listen to are like nonfiction autobiographies. So I'm not super familiar with the narrative style of a fiction book. So you're here because you want to hear me read the first chapter of this line edited draft of Violet's novel. Yeah, as I said, maybe minor changes between this version and the version you receive when you order it eventually, because I'm assuming you're going to order it, right? But that's just, you know, I did say that it was the line edited draft. So most of the changes should be to just like grammar and formatting, not like actual plot points and dialogue at this point. So it should be fairly similar when you get it. And I'm gonna be reading it off my iPad in Dropbox because that is, I don't have a working printer, so I couldn't just print it out and read it that way. Also, like, my eyesight is not great, which is great because I'm a alumna of the sorority that does service for site. So, you know, if I ever need service for my site, I'm covered, man. But yeah, so all right, let me open, where is it? I know I moved it into my Dropbox so I could do this. Ah, here it is. Okay. So this is what it looks like so far in this version. Oh, hello. Can you see it? Yeah. Oh, that is the reflection of my ring light. Awesome. But yeah, it's, I'm assuming we might like break up these paragraphs a little bit in copy editing. I have no idea what my editor's plans are. I'm just rolling with it. But as you can see, it's written kind of, well, it's set up kind of diary style, like you get the date, but it's not written like a diary entry. It's written like dialogue and all that. You'll see. But we start off with fall semester, and the first day is August 24th. Oh, and the narrator is Violet, if I didn't say that at some point. All right. It takes about 8 hours to fly from Portland, Oregon, not Maine, to Philadelphia. More than that if you factor in that I woke up at 8 to get ready to head to the airport at 9:30 to make absolutely sure I could check in by 10 for my 11:20 flight to Atlanta, which would land at 7 p.m. due to the time zone shift, find something to eat, and watch part of a YouTube video of someone building a Windows 98 computer from scratch, before getting lost in the airport and boarding my 8:10 to Philadelphia so late that I was, in fact, the last person on the plane. Had to hear last call for passenger Violet Crossman over the intercom as I raced to the gate, and had to check my carry-on because they ran out of room. But at least I made the flight. At 10:30, a woman named Jenna Ryu, who would be my RA, would meet me at the baggage claim while I worried that Delta Airlines might fail to load one or both of my checked bags like another airline that I won't name did the last time I traveled with a checked bag. Fortunately, I barely had time to tell Jenna how my flight was before the plain black hard case bags wrapped with neon orange tape made their way onto the carousel. I was kind of grateful for the interruption because even though we'd been in touch for almost a week over text and social media, it was our first time speaking in person, and those moments were always uncomfortable for me. The first thing I noticed when I stepped outside was the humidity, like I had just stepped straight into a sauna. It wasn't as bad now, being nighttime, but when my mother and I had come last month for my transfer student orientation, the soupy air had made me second guess my decision to come to the East Coast. As we loaded my bags into Jenna's red sedan, I did the math. It was now 8 p.m. in Portland. After 12 hours, 2 flights, 2 meals, and 0 text messages from Corinne Taylor asking how my flight was or if I'd made it to Philadelphia okay, I was more than ready for the 42-minute drive to Brooktown. Tomorrow we can go to Target and get the rest of what you need for your dorm, Jenna told me, tucking a strand of black hair behind her ear. I was thankful for her help. It was incredibly difficult for me to reach out to her in the first place. But unless you count the people in my transfer student orientation whose names I absolutely hadn't retained, I didn't know a soul within 1,000 miles of Brooktown. Would you like to stop for something to eat? It would have to be a drive-thru. If you want to, I could probably eat something. I'm starving, please want to stop. Yeah, no problem. McDonald's okay? Perfect. At least no matter where I was in the world, I could count on there being a McDonald's where I knew what I liked to eat. I checked my phone again. Still no messages. I decided to post one of my plane window photos, but I needed a vague caption. What was a good vague caption? If you're interested, there's a pretty cool party happening tonight, once we drop your stuff off, that is, Jenna said. I paused. Won't it be midnight by the time we get there? The best Brooktown parties are after midnight, Jenna assured me. Of course, your RA didn't say that. Your friend Jenna, who goes to Brooktown, said it. I nodded, typing into the caption box. The best Brooktown parties are after midnight, winky face. 13 people liked the post by the time Jenna pulled into the drive-thru, but not one of them mattered. All right, scene break. I don't know how to do that, I'm so sorry. By the time Jenna helped me cart my luggage up the accessibility ramp to the porch, which was seemingly useless given that a wheelchair user could only reasonably live in this building if their room was on the first floor and they never needed to do laundry, and up the 2 flights of stairs to my room, it was 12:11. As I fished my purse from my carry-on, I took a minute to catch my reflection in the full-length mirror tacked onto the back of the oak wood door. I had no idea what one was supposed to wear to a college party because I had never been to a college party. I just hoped that if the answer was not an oversized pink t-shirt from a concert and denim shorts with flip-flops, then Jenna would say something so I could either find an outfit that worked or just skip the party and instead finish watching that video of the Windows 98 computer build. But coming to Brooktown was about having new experiences, and I was never going to have new experiences if I turned down every opportunity for one. Jenna would be at the party, so even if I barely knew her, I would still be there with someone I knew. So I turned off the light and met her in the hallway. The party we're going to is on Greek Row, she said. It's at the men's rowing team's house, which used to belong to a fraternity, but their chapter was disbanded years ago. And what I'm wearing is fine? I tried to give her a once-over without being obvious. She was wearing a tank top and shorts with sneakers. Yep, I love your shirt, by the way. Thanks. I wasn't a fan of the pink, but the concert itself was a good memory. It was a 13-minute walk to Greek Row from Packard Hall, the women's transfer dorm. I wondered if Jenna was also a transfer student, or if she didn't have to be because she was an RA. But before I could spend too much time wondering, I saw the frat house we were going to. The red brick building towered 3 stories tall with a vast, crowded front lawn littered with people, coolers, stray trash bags, and, well, litter. The pounding music was muffled from inside. The air around the house smelled strongly of beer and various flavored vape pods. Well, sure smells like downtown Portland. You can mingle if you'd like. I promise I won't be offended if you don't stick with me, Jenna said, which was usually code for please talk to other people. Which meant I'm at a college party, which is an entirely new social situation for me, and the only person I know on this campus, in this state, has just asked me to find other people to hang out with. No problem, I said, as we crossed through the front door. It'll be good for me to get to know some new people. Okay, and if you want to leave and you can't find me, just text me. And then Jenna disappeared into the crowd, and I stared at the clusters of people spilling from the entryway into the living room and the kitchen. This isn't going to work. Navigating a new social situation was never ideal, but the most ideal way to do so was with someone I already knew. Even if I barely knew Jenna, she was better than nobody. And if I had to face a new social situation on my own, it was best if it didn't involve more people than I could count. It was a 13-minute walk back to my dorm. My phone had a Maps app. Jenna had done some late check-in process for me, so I could get into the building with the ID card I got at orientation. I didn't have to stay at this party, but a 13-minute walk in the dark by myself as a 20-year-old woman with no weapons, my pocket knife was still in one of my checked suitcases, or martial arts training, or developed muscle tissue was probably more dangerous than staying at the party. So I decided to look for an empty room. Miraculously, I found one on the 2nd floor, but my hand hovered over the doorknob once I was inside. Logically, I should lock the door so nobody tries to come in and do what I see people do to women who are alone in bedrooms at parties on TV shows. Logically, I should also lock the door so no couples burst in and have sex right in front of me, but I felt weird locking the door to someone else's bedroom. It wasn't my door to lock. So I just closed the door and hoped nobody would come in as I sat on the blue carpet against the bed and took the black moleskin notebook from my purse, opening up to the first page, dated February 21st. 3 years, 6 months, and 3 days ago, in Corinne Taylor's handwriting. Violet and I made it official today. I finally realized after Valentine's Day came and went that there was no way she was going to be brave enough to ask me, so I asked her and she said yes. Right, and then it's back to Violet narrating. The door to the room opened and I jumped, closing the notebook around my finger as I stood up and turned to see who it was, hoping it wasn't some couple already dry humping each other. Shane? A woman's voice asked. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. Even "no, I'm not Shane" didn't occur to me in the moment. From the light in the hallway, I could see heavy makeup on tan skin, dark curled hair, and silver stars reflecting off a light blue tube top. This woman looked a lot more ready to be at a party than me. Sorry, she said once she realized I wasn't who she was looking for. I'm looking for my friend. It's okay, I managed. I haven't seen anyone. There, that sounds right. The woman nodded and closed the door behind her as she left. I looked back at the notebook in my hand and decided I didn't want to read it here. I found the receipt I'd shoved in the back of the notebook and used it to bookmark my place, then wrapped the elastic band around the front cover to keep the book shut. I stared out the window at the small, weathered blue house across the street. Well, small by comparison anyway, sandwiched between 2 much larger, much better kept houses, though neither as big as the mansion I was in. It was probably 3 stories tall, yet it seemed so small. I could faintly make out letters across the top, a triangle, a circle with a vertical line, and an N. I presume the first 2 were Greek symbols. There was something about that house. I almost wanted to go across the street and introduce myself to whoever lived there, but I also knew that if I even managed to psych myself up enough to get to the doorbell, I'd freeze up the second someone answered and I'd have no idea what to say. Even thinking about it now, what would I say? Hi, I'm new here. I live 13 minutes away in Packard Hall, but I wanted to say hi to you specifically. No, I couldn't do that. Besides, I was certain everyone in Greek life was already at this party, although I couldn't remember what group Jenna said was hosting. All the paraphernalia in the room was for the men's rowing team. Less than an hour of living in Brooktown and I had managed to get lost. I was in a strange house in a new state where I basically knew nobody, and I wasn't sure if at any point during the next 2 years I was going to stop feeling lost. I took my phone out of my bag. I had 8 more likes on my post than I did when we left the dorm, but still radio silence from Corinne. August 25th. After getting home from the party at 2:23 a.m., I set up my bed with the blue twin XL sheets and pillow I had thankfully managed to fit in my second suitcase. It was my mother's advice to pack them due to the late day flight. I collapsed into bed and woke up at 9:21, almost 6 hours of sleep. It was a little surreal. I had woken up in the same room, in the same city, in the same state almost every night of my life, vacations and sleepovers excluded. The same full-size bed since 4th grade, with the same purple sheets since 9th, and now here I was in Brooktown, in this little single dorm that's now my home for the next 9 months. My room with cream-colored walls and poster tack residue from the previous occupant, 2 antique windows with a thick layer of caked-in dirt, and an uneven wood floor with boards that shifted underfoot. While I had originally requested a roommate, somehow the housing system stuck me in a single. I was secretly grateful because living in such a small space with someone I had never met was so far outside my comfort zone, but I was also disappointed because having a roommate could potentially guarantee, having at least one friend out here, someone to help me get my bearings. The single room also cost a good $2,000 more per semester than a double, which my parents weren't thrilled about. The first thing I did before getting out of bed was check my 8 notifications, 2 good morning texts from my parents, 6 more likes on my post from last night. As I was replying to my mother, someone knocked on my door. I wouldn't normally answer the door in a tank top, shorts, and no bra, but this was an all-women's dorm and I felt comfortable. "Good morning," Jenna greeted me, already dressed in a Brooktown t-shirt and shorts, and probably on at least 2 shots of espresso. She didn't even seem a little hungover. I hadn't had anything to drink at the party, but I was sure she did. "Morning," I replied, folding my arms over my chest. Maybe she expected me to be dressed. After all, she was generously taking me shopping today. "I was thinking we could go to the involvement fair before I take you dorm shopping," she explained. "It's a great way to see what you might want to be involved with on campus." "Sounds good. I should probably just shower and get dressed first." She nodded and went back to her room as I closed the door. There was one other single and a triple at the end of the floor, and our 3 rooms shared one single stall and single shower bathroom. An identical formation existed at the opposite end of the hallway. I gathered my shower stuff before locking myself in the bathroom and undressing. I would have preferred a removable shower head, but it was a 107-year-old building and the water was warm with a decent amount of pressure, so I wasn't going to complain. When I was done, I changed into a white tank top with a rose pattern and plain denim shorts. I didn't dry my hair. I never used heat on it. Plus, I liked the feeling of it as it dried naturally. Literally me right now. It always felt cleaner that way and stayed feeling clean longer. It was a sensory thing. I slipped on some sandals and grabbed my pink crossbody purse before heading to Jenna's dorm. She beamed. "You look so cute. All right, let me grab my bag." I followed her down the 2 flights of stairs. We could have air conditioning, but no elevator apparently, and onto the South Green as it was officially called. The humidity would take some getting used to. It was even worse now that the sun was out. I felt like I was about to hydroplane in my sandals from the amount of moisture accumulating on my feet. "So what were you into in high school or your old college?" Jenna asked. "I'll try to find stuff you'd like." "I was in the GSA at high school and community college and yearbook senior year." "What's your major again?" "Computer science." "Oh, nice. Well, we have a GSA here. I can show you that. My girlfriend's on the exec board. And there's probably a comp sci club. There might even be a Greek organization for comp sci if you're into that." "Okay." I wasn't particularly interested in the gay-straight alliance anymore. The GSAs at my high school and community college did amazing things in terms of raising awareness of issues like AIDS and marriage equality, but I wasn't really the activist type. That was all Corinne, and without her I wasn't so sure I knew how to be a good activist. I was more interested in making friends and networking for opportunities in my major, and learning how to network with a developmental delay and grasping basic social skills. I wasn't great at asking questions because I didn't like to be difficult, but I suppose the question I was thinking of would simply be an extension of the question Jenna had already asked me. Do you know if there are clubs for, like, students with social disorders, like autism and stuff like that?" Not that I know of, but if I see a table for one, I'll let you know," she said. "Do you mean something like Best Buddies?" "Not exactly," I shook my head. Best Buddies was something my high school had, and while it had great intentions and also did end up accomplishing some great things, what it mostly ended up being was a place for self-righteous girls to take selfies with students who had Down syndrome or cerebral palsy and then talk to them like they were 6 and drop the R slur in casual conversations with friends 2 days later. I guess what I'm looking for is, like, somewhere to meet people who understand me in that way, like a cultural group but for social disorders. "That sounds really cool," Jenna said. "Hey, maybe you could start that." "Yeah, maybe, if having autism didn't make me petrified of the level of interaction with strangers that starting a club would entail, not to mention the level of social skills something like that would require. Maybe that's why one doesn't already exist." There were so many tables on the lawn, I couldn't count them. That stressed me out a little, so I checked my phone, still nothing, before deciding to put it away and invest in this involvement fair. After a bit, I told Jenna I was fine exploring the fair by myself and that we could meet up at noon for lunch at the dining hall before heading out to Target. I wasn't so sure where I wanted to start, though, and not being able to count the booths wasn't helping. "Excuse me," I said to a petite woman with ashy brown curls sitting at a blue booth. "Do you know how many booths there are?" Reaching out to someone I'd never spoken to before was a stretch for me, but these people were manning the booths for the purpose of being talked to, so I managed it. "Maybe 70, she replied. We have over 100 student organizations, but they're not all represented here. Are you interested in Greek life? It was only fair to act like I was interested in the booth where I just asked for help, but as I looked down at the banner, I realized it had the same 3 symbols as the house across from the party. Maybe this was some sort of sign. I might be, I said. I don't know much about it. My girlfriend, my ex, well, it's complicated, tends to make fun of Greek life. Well, we're Delta Phi Nu, she explained. We're doing informal recruitment this fall if you're a sophomore or higher. I'm a junior, I just transferred here. Perfect, she beamed, then handed me a flyer. Here's a schedule of the events we have coming up. They're very casual. You just stop by and get to know sisters. It's a lot more low-key than Formal Rush, which happens in the spring. Personally, I prefer it. Thank you. I folded up the flyer and put it in my bag. Maybe I'll see you there. If I could just have you leave your name and phone number on this sheet here. She tapped a sheet of blue paper sitting on the table beside a cup of 6 silver pens. That way we can contact you to remind you of upcoming events. Only if you're comfortable, of course. No, that's fine. I took one of the pens and scribbled Violet Crossman and 503-555-4072. For some reason, giving a club I wasn't interested in my information and being on their mailing list for 2 years until I figured out how to send those messages directly to the spam folder was easier than saying, I'm not interested, thank you. But I wasn't not interested exactly, so I felt less hesitant to give them my information. Awesome, and you say you just transferred? Yeah. Well, welcome. You're going to love it here, she said. I'm a senior this year and I'm already dreading leaving this place in the spring. Where'd you transfer from? Portland Community College. Wow, all the way from Maine, welcome, she smiled, and I didn't bother correcting her. I'll let you check out the other booths, and I'll see you at our ice cream social. Yeah, see you, I guess. I had already done more interacting with a stranger than I had planned on today, and my brain was starting to get tired. Enjoy the rest of the fair, she waved as I turned away. And scene break. Because I had given that sorority my information, I decided I could say the club fair was a successful attempt to try new things, even if I didn't talk to anyone else or even give the other booths much of a glance. I got distracted when the drama club was advertising auditions for Stop Kiss, Corinne's favorite play, which our community college did last fall. And it was close enough to noon anyway, so I headed to the dining hall to wait for Jenna. My first meal in the dining hall was interesting. I wasn't sure what I was expecting, since community college didn't have a dining hall, so to speak, but the food wasn't bad. It was hard to find something that looked completely good, so I wouldn't have to embarrassingly pick around certain things in front of Jenna, but she didn't seem to mind me avoiding the tomatoes in my pasta salad, or think it was weird that I didn't put anything on my turkey burger besides ketchup. By evening, my room was set up to my liking, well, aside from the lack of decor. I didn't have any photos to tack on the walls, and my budget didn't really account for throw pillows or tapestries or string lights. I tried to stay practical at Target. A floral purple comforter set, a second pillow, a corkboard whiteboard combination above my desk, a desk lamp, a desk organizer, some small acrylic drawers for makeup storage, a cup for my brushes, a vanity mirror, some larger acrylic drawers that would double as a nightstand, cleaning supplies, hangers, and various storage bins for my miscellaneous things. It was almost dinner time. I was sweaty from setting up my room, even with the air conditioning, and I was starving, but I didn't want to leave the room yet. I wanted to sit and take it in for a while. I sat on my bed thinking about what I really wanted to do, which was talk to Corinne. I could text her and let her know I got settled in all right. I could send her the pictures of my room that I sent my parents. I could ask her how she thinks I should decorate it. I could tell her that there's no sales tax here either, like in Oregon, but you do have to pump your own gas, and my RA is a lot better at it than you were when we went to visit WSU. Remember that? I miss you. But I couldn't do that. I had to be strong and wait for her to contact me first, so I grabbed my purse and headed to the dining hall to see what my options for dinner were. August 27th. Tuesday was the first day of school, which was nice because I had a whole day to relax on Monday, even if I didn't really relax and just spent the day watching old computer videos to distract myself from my desire to talk to Corinne. I had 2 classes today, technical writing and introduction to algorithms. My schedule had 2 classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then 4 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The most classes I'd had in one day at community college was 3. My associate transfer degree in computer science did meet some of the freshman and sophomore requirements for Brooktown's major, but my advisor informed me that I'd need to make up a few credits. The good news was my breadth requirements were further along than the average Brooktown junior, so I would probably still be able to graduate on time. When my alarm went off, I knew I had an hour to get ready, eat breakfast at the dining hall, and then get to Hallstrom Lab before my first class, which had been a 7-minute walk from the dining hall when I took my preview walk after dinner last night. As I headed into the bathroom to brush my teeth, I thought about the previous first day of school. I had slept over at Corinne's like we usually did before the first day of a new quarter. Now I was on a semester system and starting school in August. Corinne had already started on the 19th. We should have been starting school together, but it was too late to think about that. I rinsed the CeraVe soap from my face, the boring but dependable soap that had been a part of my morning routine since 7th grade when my mom bought it for me. As I rubbed the corresponding moisturizer into my cheeks, I considered whether I wanted to wear makeup today. I didn't wear it often, but maybe I should today to make a good first impression. And then I heard Corinne's voice saying, "But why should you need makeup to make a good first impression? Why is that expected of women and not men?" And she was right. If I had enough social skills to be perceived as normal without conforming to societal expectations in terms of my appearance, I would absolutely not be adjusting my new magnifying mirror at my dorm desk and spreading primer across my eyelids. But more often than not, I just wanted to fit in. I didn't want to stick out, even if it meant making my freshly washed face feel all sticky and dirty and making the skin around my eyes feel tight. Neutral makeup? Hard pass. If I'm going through the trouble of putting all that crap on my face, it's going to be so unnatural that nobody would dare call it a no makeup look or some bullshit like that. But Corinne had something I didn't. Confidence in who she was. She also had average social skills. I did not. And so I was off to get some breakfast, societal beauty expectations met to the best of my ability. Neutral makeup, a rust-colored halter top paired with high-waisted cuffed denim shorts, gray Converse, and my hair down to mid-back like always, because I could barely even get it in a nice-looking ponytail. Do you ever want to do anything exciting with your hair? I swear it's looked the same since we met. Don't you ever want to, wear it different or cut it or dye it? Corinne wouldn't dye her hair because of the chemicals, and she never heat styled it because the heat was damaging. So it was a little hypocritical for her to ask me that. And the short answer was no, I didn't want to do anything different with my hair. This hair worked for me. It had for as long as I could remember. And since Corinne was only speaking to me in my memories and not in any actual form of communication, it didn't very much matter what she thought of my decisions, did it? Especially considering I've been in Brooktown for almost 3 whole days and she hasn't sent me one text message to ask how I'm doing or even say how she's doing. We can stay friends my ass. Scene break. Aside from several, "Hi, I'm Violet, nice to meet you" interactions with people whose names I immediately forgot, I didn't do much branching out socially today. I couldn't keep that up. I had to branch out. You took social skills classes until 11th grade, Violet. Use them. Maybe the reason I was still struggling to branch out was because there was someone I desperately wanted to talk to, but she wasn't reaching out to me, and she was all I could think about, even as I tried to distract myself with homework. Just as the words in my mathematical logic for computer science textbook started to blur together, I heard a familiar chime from my phone. This was it. She finally decided to reach out. I knew I didn't waste my whole day wishing she would. Except she didn't. "Hi, this is Ashley from Delta Phi Nu. You put your name on our interest list, so I just wanted to remind you about our upcoming ice cream social on 9/9 at our house. It's the blue one on Greek row with our letters on it. Hope to see you there." It wasn't the text message I was hoping for, but I couldn't shake that good feeling I had about these women. Granted, I'd only seen their house out the window of a defunct frat house and talked to one of their sisters. I'd never caught the name of the woman at the booth, so I didn't even know if the text was from the same person. I supposed the ice cream social would give me something to do besides hole up in my dorm to work on homework and watch videos about technology that's been irrelevant for longer than I've been alive. Me, a sorority woman. I never pictured it for myself. I just wasn't the type of woman to join a sorority, assuming they'd even want me to. Women like me, we didn't get involved in that kind of thing. It was never presented as something attainable, for lack of a better word. I'm an autistic STEM major who hates parties. Not exactly sorority material, right? But I could still go to their activity just to see what it was about. Have some fun, maybe give them a laugh. Remember that weird chick who tried to join? That was hysterical, wasn't it? I'd humor them, I decided, and go to their event just to see what would happen. And because I was going to do something social in 13 days from now, I wouldn't need to put much pressure on myself to be social in my classes until then. Violet, thanks for the reminder. I'll see you there, smiley face. August 30th. My classes were okay. I didn't really talk to anyone, which was fine. I knew I was supposed to be trying to make friends, but I just didn't know how. Not without someone to introduce me or socialize with me. If only an extrovert would adopt me. It had been years since I'd introduced myself to someone on my own, and even then it usually started with turn and face your shoulder partner and answer the questions on the board, or worse, take a people bingo sheet from the front of the room and start mingling. So I made it to Friday of my first semester of non-community college, and I knew my RA. There was some event going on in the East Student Center tonight, so I thought maybe I should go see what it was about. There weren't many details in the flyer Jenna sent me a picture of, but there would allegedly be free food, so I was intrigued. But I still brought my backpack with homework to do just in case. I figured if I didn't socialize, I could at least claim that I had done my homework in a public setting, so I hadn't been sitting alone in my room all night, or all weekend at the rate I was going. I hadn't been inside the red brick building before. There were 2 different lounges, a closed food court, and a central area with food tables set up, but the lines were so long I wasn't so sure it would be worth it considering the food was just grilled cheese sandwiches. Corinne ate a grilled cheese the last time I saw her. No, I wasn't getting one. There was a set of stairs leading to a basement game room, but I wasn't interested in that. There was a room with karaoke, but I definitely wasn't interested in that. Corinne would have dragged me to karaoke for sure, though. She would have made me sing some classic rock duet that I barely knew, or a Broadway song. Corinne had a beautiful singing voice, though. I did not. I didn't feel like doing my homework in the lounge adjacent to the karaoke room, and the other lounge looked like it was being used for some other event, so I decided to go home and do my laundry. I could say that my first attempt at going to a social event here was a bust, but at least I tried, not a total waste of time. After an 11-minute walk back to Packard Hall and up 2 flights of stairs, I grabbed my laundry basket, soap, and ID card and walked down 3 flights of stairs to the laundry room. The humidity in this state was awful and there was no air conditioning in the basement, so I went ahead and took off my Reputation Stadium Tour t-shirt to throw in the laundry since I had a plain black sports bra on underneath. After using my ID card to pay for the load of laundry, I left the basket on top of the machine I was using and went back upstairs. I checked my phone notifications and there were still none from Corinne. I suppose it was to be expected, but then again, maybe she was waiting for me to reach out. Maybe I needed to show her that I still cared. Okay, I decided I would do it. I would message her. Violet, hey, survived my first week in Brooktown. How's Pullman? I felt so pathetic after I sent it. Why would I reach out to her? If she wanted to talk, she would have reached out. Corinne wasn't the type to wait for someone else to give her attention. If she wanted to talk to someone, she'd reach out. I guess it surprised me when 37 minutes went by and I went back down to the basement to put my clothes in the dryer, then came back upstairs to see a new message. Corinne, it's been good. I hate Washington though. I need big cities. I smiled as I unlocked my phone to message her back. Violet, Brooktown is nice. It's a small town, but everything's so convenient to get to that it just feels like a scaled down Portland. And there's lots of independent restaurants by campus. You'd like it. Corinne, that's good. For you, I mean. I could never live in such a small state. I get claustrophobic just thinking about it. Violet, it's honestly not as bad as it sounds. Maybe that was overstepping it. I didn't want to make it sound like I was trying to push her to transfer here, even if that would solve a lot of our problems. When she stopped responding, I figured I ruined it. We were having a nice conversation and I ruined it. So when the 60-minute timer ran out, I went back down 3 flights of stairs to get my laundry, put it away, and sat in bed reading out of the black moleskin notebook Corinne gave to me the last time we saw each other. All right, and that is the first chapter. I am again very sorry that I am not a professional reader out loud, and that I'm not very good at that. But if I ever do put out an audiobook, it will be narrated by a professional and it will be much better quality, and the actual physical copy that you get will be a lot better reading experience than listening to me. So yeah, thank you for subscribing, all 100 of you, and to any new subscribers that come from this video, thank you very much. I'm thinking I might be ready to do a title reveal before the end of the year, like before I get my copy edits back. I might actually, because I've narrowed it down. And I'm just like kind of pulling around with my friends right now and being like, hey guys, help. So maybe that'll be, not Monday's video, but maybe next week I'll do the title reveal. But yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you again on Monday. And I almost said next time I make a video, but yeah, I already said that part. My brain is everywhere. It has been a very long week for me personally. So this has been one of the highlights of my week, was finally getting to 100 subscribers. That and my theater classes that I teach. So yes, thank you for being here. Hope to see you around for many more years to come. And I know 100 isn't a very big number in today's social media landscape, but it's big to me and I really do appreciate y'all. So yeah, just thank you for being here and I will see you on Monday. All right, bye.